Welcome, Hagerman community. This is Brian Whitmarsh on the Hagerman Joint School District School Board. I want to provide you an update from last night's meeting. We had a long board meeting that was packed, very packed agenda. I want to try to keep this condensed, so we're going to have to fly through this. A lot of exciting things happened last night, including the selection of our next business clerk or district clerk slash business manager. Give you some update on that. We swore in our new trustee, Phil Gossi, and we had a exciting start to our meeting yesterday. And it was the parliamentary procedure team that demonstrated how to properly run a meeting. Now, we kind of do a hybrid of a proper and not so proper meeting, but we got to see actually how it's supposed to be run from a parliamentary procedure perspective. Daniel Knapp brought in his team, and that consisted of Josiah Knapp, J.C. Hillstead, Ellie Whitmarsh, Danica Knapp, Lexi Turner, and Alyssa Bell. It was great. The kids did amazing. They went through and they debated, they created motions. We learned how to use the gavel, which was fun. It was really a lot of fun to have the kids in the board meeting and seeing what they're learning. And they're going to be competing here in a little while. So we wish them the best. That was a lot of fun to start. And we did take notes, and hopefully we improved a little bit by watching the kids. First of all, we started off the meeting, went through the agenda, got that all approved, and then went into the consent agenda, which again is a packet of information regarding the finances that took place last month. The school board looks through those finances. Anything we see that we have questions about, we ask questions. We got all our answers from the questions, and we approved that consent agenda. We then moved into the reports from Mr. Crest and Mr. Wadsworth. Those reports were a little bit lengthy this time, so I have some cliff notes for those. First of all, Mr. Crest talked about, from his report, gave us an update on the Medicaid reimbursement. Very important to us because there's a lot of reimbursement that takes place, billing and reimbursement from a Medicaid perspective. And happy to report that in January, we put out $14,000 worth of reimbursement, have already seen $11,000 of reimbursement. We had a few items that were flagged that we are working on to get full reimbursement for. Again, just tracking, making sure that we're getting that reimbursement as expected. Then we talked in length about the coronavirus and how Mr. Kress and the school board and the administration is taking this very seriously. Obviously, it's top of mind for a lot of folks these days, and we are monitoring the status. So far, cross our fingers, we don't have any reported cases in Idaho yet. It's going to happen, and we need to be prepared and proactive for it. We talked about a number of different things that we can explore, which included things like home learning. If we have to close down the school to do some deep cleaning, but we have the ability with the new Chromebooks that the junior high school have to be able to do some home learning Google Classroom activities because obviously we don't want this to impact or minimally impact education. Mr. Kress talked about going to a reporter conference from the CDC that talked about what's taking place to make sure that he's informed. Again, we're going to have more details to follow, and I've already had emails today regarding looking at some things that we should be proactive about and implementing. I've talked to my friends and colleagues in California, and obviously they're further along in this stage, so it's been good to talk to them and see what their school districts are doing and how their schools are responding. More to come, obviously, on the coronavirus. Kress also mentioned a donation in the weight room. We have some brand new mirrors. It's always great when you're working out to be able to watch your form. And we wanted to appreciate and recognize Chuck Steele for donating those mirrors. So it's great to have improvements there in the weight room. Great to be physically fit. Then we moved on to Mr. Wadsworth's report. He talked about flex hours, and previously flex hours more of a Friday type activity. Going ahead and seeing if we can rearrange and allow teachers to do more than just Fridays for their flex time. After school, if there's a particular day, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, to be able to use that flex time and work with the students that need it at that time. Possibilities there. Also talked about midterms coming up here on the 11th. Parent-teacher conferences on the 18th. Recognized a couple student athletes, Brian Osborne, Sadie Wadsworth, both getting recognized for contributions from a student athlete's perspective. I know Bryant has a game tonight, all-star game. It'd be great if you could attend. It's probably a little bit late, but hopefully we're there to support him. Talked about Josh DeVille is looking to be our golf coach. We have kids that are interested in the golf program, and Josh is going to be the coach for that. So that's great. I love golfing with the family. Anyways, Honor Society was something else that was mentioned. The National Honor Society is this large organization that a lot of you, I'm sure, are familiar when you went to school. It costs money, and you have this registration. We are implementing our own internal honor society to recognize those students that, for example, hold a 3.7 GPA and above. We're going to have a banquet in April, but it's great to be able to recognize those kids that are achieving academically. Also talked about Battle of the Books, a lot of great things going on, not just the grade school kids, which it sounds like we had 85 grade school kids in the Battle of the Books, but we had most all of the junior high kids as well participating in the Battle of the Books. Great to have them getting into those books. 21 days until ISAT. Well, that was last night, so it's 20 days until ISAT testing. Obviously very important. That's our benchmark or our measure to know, are we, or one of our measures, not the only measure, but one of our measures to know if our kids, how they're progressing from a testing perspective and how they're progressing in learning. Then something that made me a little bit nervous is I hear that there is going to be a father-daughter dance on April 10th. That's prom. So prom's coming up April 10th, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock-ish. Yeah, I'm not the best dancer, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, maybe I can slow dance with my daughter if she even wants me to. But we'll see. That's going on April 10th. The other thing is we wanted to recognize the accomplishments in science. We had a ton of kids, 70 kids, that did projects, agri-science. They were science projects. They have posters and boards where they, tested our hypothesis and did this whole science project. So it's great to see those kids digging into science and hands-on science. Now what I wanted to do is move on to the actual interview for our business clerk, our business manager / district clerk. We had 3 awesome candidates. Again, we had 3 great finalists, and those finalists were Kathy Lakely, we had Melissa Lemon, and we had Terry Dorchek. Excellent interview. It was a challenging interview process. This is a public interview process. We round robin the questions. We had about 40 people in attendance, not just the board, but 40 additional community members there. It was great to see the turnout, and the candidates had to publicly answer in front of everyone all these. We had about 6 or 7 questions that we asked all the candidates. Again, they all did great. It was great. It was great that it was difficult to choose between 3 excellent candidates. After the public interviews, we went into executive session. The board talked about and reviewed in depth all of the references, the applications. We went through and looked at any follow-ups, and then we internally voted on who we wanted to select. We came out of that executive session, and the nomination was presented to Kathy Lakely. So congratulations, Kathy Lakely. She brings over 36 years of experience specifically in the district clerk business manager form for other schools. She has managed multiple schools, really a lot of experience, and we feel that it's going to be great to work with Kathy moving forward. We're going to try to get her started right away. As we know, Betty, who's been with us forever, she is going to be leaving at the end of April. So we want to make sure we get, actually not the end of April, I think it's even middle April, but we want to get Kathy in there. And she has a ton of experience in the software and the accounting software that we already use. So she'll be able to hit the ground running and not have to have much training time. Excited about that. So congratulations, Kathy Lakely. Again, it was a tough decision. Really appreciate all three finalists, and it was great to have three very qualified finalists to choose from. Then we went into the other agenda items. We talked about the superintendent search. We're hoping to get that formally released here in the next week or week and a half. And we're going to have a professional looking brochure. ISBA, which is the Idaho Idaho School Board Association, is running that search for us, and will be involved obviously in the process, including community members, administration, staff, and the public. But we're getting going there, and like I said, that first step to have it fully published and the job posted and starting to accept applications here in the next week or so. I'll keep you updated on that. We discussed the speech therapy contract, had some discussion around that, we did renew the previous, or the contract that we used this year, which is a mixture of in room as well as some virtual speech therapy support. We then unfortunately have to go through resignations, and we had a few resignations that we had to process. We then went through and talked about stuff like operations, check stamp creation, nothing exciting there. We did talk about, we heard from our mayor and regarding the ag shop project. Right now we have the ag shop, and the phone's ringing. Never mind, just ignore that. The ag shop is we're looking to expand, and the city actually gave us a plot of land between where the ag shop is today and the little white building, and we're splitting that. And all the city asked for the land was that if we took, because they were using that shed that was right there, and build them another shed in the city park, and getting a great deal, $12,000 for a full shed with a cement floor. We made a motion to go ahead and approve spending in order to get that. So basically for $12,000, we're getting this new chunk of land that will allow us to do what we need to do to expand our food science program in the future. We then went through a bunch of policies, and at this point, our audience went from 30 or 40 down to 3. Policies aren't the most exciting thing, but this again is a key aspect of our jobs. We walk through any changes that are sent out to the policies, go through line by line, and make sure that those policies apply to the Hagerman Joint School District. Where they don't, we make modifications. We approved the first reading for 10 such policies, and then we picked another 10. We get a whole bunch of policies at once, and we try to go through 10 a month. We then talked about the safety busing report, went through that, acknowledged that we had a good score. We went through and just acknowledged that we saw the report and approved that. We then entered into executive session to talk about some other items, such as a request for an extended leave of absence, in which we did approve the extended leave of absence. We can't tell you who it was for, but it was the extended leave of absence, and it was approved by the board. That is a summary of what took place, and appreciate everyone that attended. Again, it was great to see the community be involved, and we really feel, especially around the election of the new district clerk, that we were able to have a great candidate, and we're very much looking forward to the future. And next, obviously, is working on getting a new superintendent. So stay tuned. Have a great day.